is the hard-working trucker who delivered the goods and services that we needed when we needed it. Who delivered goods and services across the border every single day without a vaccine for 2 years. And suddenly, Justin Trudeau suggested that he was going to spread a virus, even though that same trucker is all alone, all by himself in the cab of his truck all day long. He feels like he's lost control of his life. And when he stood up and spoke out and raised his voice in peaceful and democratic protest, he was called a criminal by people like Justin Trudeau and Jean Charest.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and we are at Spruce Meadows in Calgary for stop one of Pierre Poilievre's Alberta tour of his campaign for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada. Very much a front runner in this leadership race, and with a massive social media presence, he is very likely to do well. Some out there having questions, particularly in the social conservative movement, whether he can represent them, but nevertheless, a large event here. They said they're expecting 7,000 people to attend. It remains to be seen if that is true, but we will be on location asking questions and speaking to people about Pierre Poilievre.
What I like about Pierre is that he's no nonsense. He just says what he's thinking. You don't get all the gobbledygook political stuff that nobody understands what they're saying. I just like he's straightforward. That's it.
The Cuban community love him, and I think he's the type of person who stand for the values, and he believe for the freedom of the people. That we deserve. To have a country who support, their people. And in this case, what happened in Canada right now is basically they taking away people's right.
His leadership, the way he's challenged our government, the way he speaks, debates, he really brings attention to what is truly needed in this country. And he speaks for all of Canada, not just a couple of certain provinces.
Thank you very much, Alberta. We will make the equalization program fair to Albertans. We will get rid of the federal carbon tax mandate and let the province of Alberta decide its best environmental policy. We will end the constant attacks on the law-abiding firearms owners and farmers in that province. And I will only appoint the senators that Albertans have elected.
He's not a Red Tory. That's the main thing. He's not a socialist, LARPing as a conservative. And, he may not be perfect, but at this point, the Conservative Party has gone through its worst run ever, not just because we've had bad leadership, but because there's not really any values anymore. No one actually holds up to them. So the fact that he actually has some values, he actually talks about them. We don't know if we'll act on them yet, but we're going to see.
Hope. In my point of view, I'm a member of the veteran community, and to me, Canada's gone. We need it back. And you can't you can't separate Canada from our freedoms. They're one and the same. Without our freedoms, there is no Canada. And I believe in Pierre. I believe he's telling the truth. I don't think he's a typical politician that'll say anything to get what he wants. I actually think he has character. So, hope.
You know these woke people, they're woke, but they're not awake, right? They love to divide everyone, right? They want to divide along racial, ethnic, gender, and now vaccination status. Every day they're looking for a new way to divide us and carve us up as a people, separate us from our neighbors, our friends, and our co-workers. Why do they do this? Why is it Justin Trudeau, who has his own ugly past with racism, still likes to divide people along racial lines? Why is it that they do this? You got that right, it's divide and conquer. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, I think that he's very outspoken when he's in question period. He's asking the questions that I would ask of the Liberal Party of Canada. And he sticks up for the oil and gas industry. He's talking about inflation, talking about freedom of speech, which is really important to me.
What has caused this out of control inflation that has attacked the paychecks of our working class? Just inflation, right? Just inflation.
And I've seen how very articulate he is and how very passionate he is about the policies that affect Canadians, especially housing and immigration. And I believe that if he comes up for Prime Minister, he'll do a good job in that position.
And do you think he's among the leaders the best person to dethrone Justin Trudeau?
He is the best person to dethrone Justin Trudeau because he understands the economics that Justin doesn't understand. And I believe that if he comes out for the leadership race and he gets into position, he will definitely give Justin a good run for his money.
Whether it is the hard-working trucker who delivered the goods and services that we needed when we needed them. Who delivered goods and services across the border every single day without a vaccine for 2 years, and suddenly Justin Trudeau suggested that he was going to spread a virus, even though that same trucker is all alone, all by himself in the cab of his truck all day long. He feels like he's lost control of his life. And when he stood up and spoke out and raised his voice in peaceful and democratic protest, he was called a criminal by people like Justin Trudeau and Jean Charest.
Well, this is incredible. I don't know if we've seen this for a political rally in a long time. And just to see the energy and the excitement and the enthusiasm. But I think the most important thing is you're seeing a lot of people that I saw on the campaign trail last fall that maybe weren't supporting us for one reason or another, or frustrated. They are coming back, and they are coming back very strongly. And I think what Pierre's doing is he's rebuilding our foundation, and we can build from there. This is a movement now. When you've seen the numbers that we've had here, Kelowna, Ontario, it's incredible because his message is resonating. He is talking about what your average regular Canadian wants to talk about: cost of living, affordability, freedom. Get big government out of my face, and that's clearly what people want to hear.
I am a Canadian, a free Canadian, free to speak without fear, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to worship God in my own way, free to choose those who shall govern my country. It is this legacy of freedom I pledge to uphold for myself and for all of mankind. Thank you.
It is truly incredible to see. This leadership race is something else entirely. Unlike the last leadership that came and went largely unnoticed, we are seeing thousands of people turning out for events. The largest by far that we have seen is that of Pierre Poilievre tonight in Calgary, with over 7,000 people estimated to be in attendance. An incredible scene. If you want to see this full report and all our coverage of the leadership race, you can do so at LeadershipReports.ca. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Rebel News takes absolutely no handouts from the government. That enables us to be truly independent and truly tell the other side of the story free of influence. And we're bringing that unique brand of independent journalism to the leadership race of the Conservative Party of Canada. If you want to ensure you get all the latest reports from Rebel News on this leadership race, go to LeadershipReports.ca.